Okay. Thank you for coming, everyone. Hopefully it will be an enlightening experience for you all. I can't promise anything, though, so I will try my best. So, who here has bought a new phone in the last year? Cool, that's quite a lot of you. Who here found it the most pleasurable experience moving from their old apps to the same apps on their new device? I would love to be in your shoes. There are so many apps that don't give the user the best possible experience, and that's something that we'd like to address. So you may think that it's a small problem. There are not an awful lot of people who have this issue. Well, according to IDC, 250 million phones running Android with Google software on them were sold in the first 4 months of this year. To give you an idea of kind of the scale of that, put your hands up if you're from Germany. Austria, add to the people with their hands up, anyone from Austria? The Netherlands, Switzerland. Everybody in all of those countries buying a new phone every 2 months is the kind of rate of purchase that you need to maintain this figure. And we know that if this goes on throughout the year, that's 1 billion phones. We're not seeing the number of active devices increase by 1 billion phones a year, so a significant proportion of these people are buying new phones and moving from their old phone to their new one. And this is why we feel it's important that you give these users a great experience. You keep them engaged, you keep them using your apps, because even if it's a little rough, it may not need to be. So the first thing we want to talk about, or I want to talk about, is data privacy. This is something which is dear to everybody's heart. If we're backing up your data or your personal data, it's something that needs to be done right. And the way we do that is via a thing called Cloud Key Vault. Now, this is a public page. This is something you can all go and read. This is not a sneaky shot of the Google intranet. I promise there are none in this presentation. And it will tell you exactly how we take, say, your PIN code or a password that you provide and create a cryptographically secure key, which we then use to encrypt your data on the device before it goes to Google servers. We at Google do not see your backup data. If it's using auto backup, it is absolutely unanalyzable by us as clear text. So if you want to know the details, there is this page, and these slides will be available. You don't have to try and read the tiny little link at the bottom, but if you can, I bow to your magical superpowers of eyesight. This will be available in a PDF, so you'll be able to look at it, click on the link, so please don't worry about trying to write down the small text right now. The Cloud Key Vault system service is something that we've had independently verified, but we're always open to some new suggestions. And this is one of the reasons I'm here, is to start conversations with everybody. So there's also the Android security model. Now this is a 17-page white paper. Again, if you have time to read the white paper and you're interested, the link will be in the PDF that you can go and download this. This is the model that we use to develop software in a way that can give us as the platform or providers, you as engineers, and you as users a consistent experience and know what to expect from applications and the platform. There are three parties involved in any security agreement. There is the user, there is the app, and there is the platform. Now, I've called it the app in this slide. I could have said developer. But the fact of the matter is, not every user clicks on the update notification, so there are going to be some of them with old versions of apps. But it is your choice. You have to allow your data to be backed up from your app for it to happen and for it to use the restore system that users see in the setup wizard. Now, don't make the mistake, we're saying this is the only way to do it. And in fact, if you want to use cloud synchronization, Marcus and Vivian did a fabulous talk about edge synchronization this morning. There are lots of ways of doing this, but what we'd like to set is an expectation that you have of us so that you know when we'll be able to back up your data, make sure that it's the right thing for you, and provide the data in a way that we can make use of it and provide it to users when they move to their new devices. So the user needs to have the backup turned on, the app needs to be able to handle it, and the platform needs to ensure backups can be performed. That's quite loose terminology. Let's drill into it. If a user wants to opt out of this, they just turn the setting off. If the user does not want their backup performed, they do not want their data sent to our servers or just used for backing up, that is their choice, and we respect that. You can exclude your data in your apps from the backup using a custom backup agent, a configuration file, or in the manifest. If you do that, even if the user has the backup turned on, it's still not going to back it up. We have no wish to hold data that has no use to you, us, or anybody else. But it is only you as application developers that have the knowledge to make the decision about what's relevant and what should be backed up. So the platform has a quota. It will only back up 25 megabytes per application per user. If you go beyond that, it will not be backed up. So this is why it's important for you as an application developer to think about what needs to be backed up. If you're putting 25 meg of data that could be synchronized with an external source relatively quickly in your backup, but you're missing out things like some form of user personalization settings or some form of user customization that they may have added to your application, you might want to rethink what goes into your 25 meg. So the user must want it backed up. The developer, you have so much power in this. You can make or break a user's experience when they go to their new device, say, I want to restore from this backup, and I want to start using my phone. It is up to you to get it right, and it is your application that benefits from it. And the platform, 25 meg per user per application is the only restriction we really have. Beyond that, it is all up to you. So, Android Auto Backup. Who here thinks that their application is included in Android Auto Backup? Put your hand up. Who here has an Android application that they think is not included in Android Auto Backup? Put your hands up. Who here has done something to exclude their application from it? You're the only people who don't get your application backed up because your app's data is backed up by default unless you're over the quota. So what's included in this default backup? Shared preference files, your app's internal storage, and those two directories that you can get from your application's context. If you're putting all of your data in there and there's less than 25 meg of it and you haven't opted out, your user's going to get all that back on their new device as part of the setup system. You won't need to re-download it. You won't need to do anything custom. That's it. They just get it. That's the way the backup and restore system works. There is also an older system called key value backup, and I'll talk a bit more about that later. It's a system we'd like people to move away from because we've seen issues with it, with people trying to map SQL-like databases onto a key value format just so they can back it up. And this is why we moved to auto backup to provide a lot more flexibility. So excluded by default, your cache directory. If you're downloading stuff that can be thrown away, that's a cache. Use context.getCacheDir to give you the directory you can use to store that information. We're not going to back that up by default. Caches are caches. They're disposable data. Code cache directories. That can be used in certain circumstances if you're pulling down, say, executable things that can be run. There are special cases for that. Again, it's something that we don't back up because it is a cache. And there is a no backup files dir that does exactly what it says on the tin. If you put stuff there, we will not back it up. It's also configurable via an XML file. It allows you to specify includes and excludes, so you have very granular control. If you don't want to use those default locations and you want to put your files elsewhere, or you want your cache directory backed up for some weird reason, you can use this XML file to specify what's included. So you can even not change your layout of your app. If you've inherited an old code base, you've got an old app, you don't need to change the code base or where the files are written. You can just write this XML file to say, I want this, I don't want that, and I want this. It's very easy to do, and that's what we've tried to do, make it something that if you come to a new code base, or if you go onto GitHub and you want to make a modification of someone's code base, you can go and do it without needing to delve in and rewrite large chunks of the app. So does it do everything we want? Simple answer, no. We'd like it to be able to move users from one device to another as if they didn't have a new device. We would like them to be able to pick up a new device and just doing the same things that they've been doing before without having to worry about restores and everything else like that. So I'm sure you've got some great ideas on how we can do this. And me being from Google, I know that some of you may think that we're just going to say, we'll develop something, you'll see it in the next release, thank you very much, goodbye. That's not what we're doing. This is literally the quote from my manager when I started discussing coming to droidCon Berlin. We want to start a discussion with developers. As I've said earlier in the presentation, you have a lot of power over this process. You can choose what gets backed up. You can choose if nothing gets backed up. And what we would like to do is know what will help you. We want to know if there's something we can be doing in the platform and in the system so that your users can move from device to device easily, smoothly, and in a way that doesn't create the jarring experience of people fearing 101 logins when they buy a new device. After this talk, I'm going to be heading across to the Google booth and I'll be there. Tomorrow morning I'll be at the Google booth as well. You can talk to me directly if you want. You can contact me on Twitter. You can just raise issues in the bug tracker if you think we're doing something wrong. We want this discussion to happen. We want this to take place. We want to know what you'd like us to do. So as mentioned earlier, we had a system called key value backup. Because it was purely key value backup, people were doing clever stroke interesting things to get their data in a key value format. Think whole database tables being translated into special keys with meanings that had extensions, that stored rows, and all of this kind of stuff. And we listened. We knew that wasn't helping everybody. So now we're at auto backup, the encrypted system to provide data privacy, the ability to back up automatically so it's as little overhead as possible on developers. So where do we go next? We know there are some applications that aren't doing it. We know there are some applications that putting 400 meg of data in an area which gets automatically backed up, and our system every single time is going, no, not happening. So you tell us what would help you. Raising quotas may or may not be an idea, but it would work better for us and it would work better for you if we could make this more intelligent. And how that solution works is something that we will try and devise internally, but like anything, the more diversity of opinion we get, the better and more attractive we can make the solution. So thank you for listening to the talk. I have a little over 5 minutes for questions and answers if you have any, or I will be at the Google booth later. And if you want to contact me, there are my details. If you want to send me ideas, comments, and suggestions. There's a microphone at the front. If you have questions on backup and restore, please head up to the microphone. If you have ideas you'd like to throw out to the room and get people thinking about, the microphone is now yours. Tell me how you'd like to do it. Thank you.